YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. You're going to want to pay attention to this story because it has everything to do with underground child trafficking rings that are in downtown Los Angeles in the Hollywood area that revolve around a lot of famous people, including the Playboy Mansion, which I covered at the time of Hugh Hefner's death, that Hugh Hefner is a direct operative of the Central Intelligence Agency. But this revolves around Tori Spelling to start, because Tori Spelling is the daughter of Aaron Spelling, who was in TV series like 90210, is rich and famous only because of her connection, of course, to her father, Aaron Spelling. Here's a photo of Tori doing the all-seeing eye with her book, like a lot of these celebrities do that I've covered in the past. These are Instagram photos that they put up where they're clearly doing the all-seeing eye symbolism deliberately, but that's not what this is about. This is about an interview that Tori Spelling gave in regards to tunnels underneath Tori Spelling's home. And I'll play the interview for you momentarily where you could hear the bizarre stories about these hidden tunnels in downtown Hollywood. But this is Aaron Spelling, the father of Tori Spelling. He has a net worth of over $600 million. He is no longer alive, but he's responsible for television shows like Dynasty, Beverly Hills 90210, Seventh Heaven, The Love Boat, and Charlie's Angels, just to name a few. Now, the Spelling family lived in a home called The Manor. It was also known as Spelling Manor and Candyland. I wonder why it was named Candyland. Of course, we know how sick and depraved these people are in Hollywood. These are obviously all references to young children. But the manor was built in 1991, and the Spellings bought the home from Bing Crosby in 1983. They began construction in 1986, and it was completed again in 1991. Bing Crosby, of course, is known for being an actor and a musician in the 1930s, the 40s, and the 50s, famous for a lot of Christmas songs that you hear, a lot of the solstice songs like White Christmas. So listen to this interview clip, because remember, keep in mind, Tori Spelling, her father, was a very prominent producer in Hollywood. They bought this home, named the manor, also Candyland, from Bing Crosby. And listen to how Tori Spelling, trying to remember, but there's lots of crazy tunnels underneath, because then we'll get into what has already been exposed in regards to the Playboy Mansion. Take a listen to this.
Bing Crosby's house.
Bing. People forget about Bing.
My mom tore it down, and that became the manor.
Your mom tore down Bing's house?
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this.
So I got to see it before, and it was wild.
Like
hidden libraries, like underground stuff. There was a zoo, a full-on zoo with like zebras and giraffes and like ponds with crawfish. It was just like this wild property. As a kid, you were just like, running around.
Underground what?
I was like 11, so I'm wondering, I'm not sure what I don't know. But I know they were like, the realtor was like, look at this. And you would like push a wall, and it was like, opened up with like a staircase going down. And then I don't know.
You're saying there was underground tunnels?
Yes.
At Bing's house?
Correct.
Did you ever go in them?
Yes.
You did?
I'm trying to remember.
Why don't you remember?
I don't know. I've blocked out a lot of my childhood.
So interesting, right? In addition to, of course, these quirky things that people find bizarre, but think that celebrities are just extra bizarre, so they have zoos on their property. Of course, these are things just like candy, these types of things that adults use to seduce children or to groom children, right? So he had a zoo on the property. But let's pay attention to the underground tunnels, because if you haven't heard, the manor was 1 minute, less than 0.2 miles away from the Playboy mansion. That's right, Hugh Hefner, as you can see here with the devil horns on his head, was not just some random guy who came up with the idea to put nude women in a magazine and then became a billionaire. Hugh Hefner was an operative of the Central Intelligence Agency. Even in a book titled Fighting Child and Human Trafficking and Slavery, ex-CIA operative Laurel Aston wrote about Hugh Hefner, saying, "I knew Hugh Hefner. He's connected to the CIA. Hefner is a CIA programmer, CIA sex slave handler, and pimp. Hefner was also a part of running MK Ultra, Super Assassins, and Ops." This is from a CIA whistleblower. Now, this is a blueprint. Underneath the Playboy mansion, you will see that there are intricate tunnels. And that's because the Playboy mansion was used as a location to traffic children to famous people in Hollywood. It served as a front, of course, with all of these adult models that would be notorious for being at the Playboy mansion. They would show you celebrities going there and these Playboy bunnies being there. But the bunnies were also operatives in this operation, as I'll show you momentarily. This tunnel system connected to other locations underground, okay? Other homes in the area, including the homes of celebrities like Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, Kirk Douglas, James Caan, you know, the Khazarian tribe in Hollywood. And even it has been mentioned recently, it's gotten attention, that there was also a direct tunnel leading to P. Diddy's home down in Los Angeles as well. So Hugh Hefner, for anyone that doesn't know, he's cousins, direct cousins with the Bush family, with the climate czar John Kerry's family. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. All these people are obviously related to one another, but the people out there who are dead asleep want to believe that this is just a mere coincidence. Of course, the excuse they use is that we're all technically related to one another, right? And they all have ties to secret societies like Skull and Bones. They all are involved in things like the Climate Initiative, right? Barack Obama, another direct descendant. We have Tom Hanks and Abe Lincoln that I've covered in the past. So these people are all related to one another. So for people that don't know, the Playboy Mansion operated under the guise of the National Security Agency, China Lake in California, which provided an assembly line of mind-control slaves for an estimated $4 billion in annual revenues, which again is larger than, as it says here, professional sports, because human trafficking is the biggest industry in the world, specifically the trafficking of young children. So Hugh Hefner played the role of this guy who just had a magazine, who walked around in a robe. It was a big gimmick that we all saw out in public. They even had the reality TV show to try to get people to think even more that Hugh Hefner was just some wild and crazy old guy who's living his life. He just came up with the idea, folks, to have a magazine where he would just have nude women inside the magazine and everybody would go buy it. Nobody had thought of something like that before. Hugh Hefner just came up with the idea. The government allowed it to happen. Look, Hefner was a psychologist. He was an MK Ultra programmer. The Playboy Enterprises was a part of actually Tommy Sotomayor's media, which, of course, is an Ashkenazi Jewish media conglomerate. Now, if you don't know, there's some other stories about Hugh Hefner and Playboy. Brooke Shields, the actress, posed nude in Playboy when she was 10 years old for Playboy Press's publication Sugar and Spice. There's a lot of pedophilia that's been promoted in Playboy over the years, which is very difficult to look at. And of course, a lot of the photos have the bunnies standing next to some of these young children because the bunnies were obviously operatives for Hugh Hefner. Now, Hugh Hefner has been accused of running a Hollywood pedophilia ring in the past, as Marianne Bernard had claimed that she was raped as a child by Hugh Hefner, Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson, and Roman Polanski, who I'll get into momentarily. So for those of you that don't know, Hugh Hefner was very active in the Vietnam War, the post-Vietnam War, and bringing children from Vietnam and transporting them in his plane, the Big Bunny. Playboy founder and U.S. Army veteran Hugh Hefner provided his plane, the Big Bunny, to transport Vietnamese children. Playboy bunnies were the ones who cared for the babies until they reached their destination. As you can see, a lot of the photos of the Playboy bunnies who were brought over to Vietnam, who then obviously took care of these young children as they brought them back to America, right? As soon as they were recovered, the child would go to one of these 3 processing centers before having been sent to a waiting adoptive family. Many private jet owners volunteered their planes to help with the effort, including Hugh Hefner. Around 2,000 of the children went to the U.S., while others went to Australia, Canada, and Europe. And I'm sure they were accounted for, right? So Hefner would bring the children over from there. The children would be then trafficked underground inside of the Playboy mansion to many of the celebrities who happen to conveniently have tunnels underneath. Now, if you think that the tunnels were there so that they could move around adult bunnies, think again. Why would you need actual tunnels to do that if some of these homes are located a mile or less than a mile away? You wouldn't need underground tunnels. They could literally just walk themselves on the main streets. This, of course, was a front. Like everything in today's society is a front. Pedophilia is what's buried underneath. So the connections that Hugh Hefner has, I mean, of course, we know Donald Trump, of course, would be connected. He's always constantly, before he became president, when he was just Donald Trump, the billionaire, he's had a connection with Hugh Hefner, right? Inside Trump's history with Playboy as it preps to make the White House Correspondents' Dinner debut. We have him on the cover of Playboy magazine. We have him at the Playboy Mansion many times. We have even people in today's media like Bill Maher, right? Remember Bill Maher? He's used now in the left-right paradigm more than anybody. Was once a liberal, now he's leaning conservative, driving people insane. People care about what he says. This is the pizza man, ladies and gentlemen. Remember Bill Maher? The pizza man? Yeah, I'm sure that's a coincidence as well. We have people like Bill Cosby who are connected to rape and other allegations in Hollywood and the entertainment industry who are very close with Hugh Hefner, people like Michael Jackson who have been accused of pedophilia, and of course, none more prominent than Roman Polanski, who's been convicted of being a pedophile, but of course, runs free in the streets, as most of them do, because these people will never be convicted of their crimes, and they know that the people will never take action against them because they've built out this massive mind control experiment the way that they have, so the people never take action anymore. Everybody relies on a controlled government to do things for them. They rely on the controlled police force to enforce the law, and they don't. And that's where we are now in today's world, where these people run free. So Roman Polanski here, seen in photos with Hugh Hefner. Of course, Roman Polanski even seen being a VIP on Hefner's plane, the same plane that I just discussed, the Big Bunny that's used to bring children around from Vietnam over to America, and I'm sure many other locations. And what's Roman Polanski known for, by the way? Well, Rosemary's Baby is his most famous film. He's known for 2 things, being a pedophile and for his connection to Sharon Tate. And his film that is most notorious is Rosemary's Baby, which, of course, the plot revolves around Rosemary Woodhouse, a young woman tricked into bearing the Antichrist as a result of a deal made by her husband with a coven of Satanists living in New York City. Her neighbors, who are revealed to be part of the satanic cult, manipulate her into conceiving and carrying the child, believing it to be the son of Satan. So, very interesting that we have this story out there where Tori Spelling kind of slipped the beans, right? She mentioned, underground tunnels underneath this home that we bought from Bing Crosby, but I can't remember much. Well, it's probably because she's gone through trauma-based mind control, and that's what happens. Most of these children, this is the problem in society, and it's not anything you can blame the actual children who are victims on, is that adults don't understand. When these kids are put through this, they're not going to tell their parents what they're put through because they're threatened, they're tortured, they're tormented. A lot of the stuff with McMartin I've talked about, right? These kids witnessed the murder and sacrifice of animals in front of them. And then these Satanists tell them, hey, we'll do this to your parents. So the kid's not going to go home and tell mom and dad about it. They build altars in their mind. This is, basic for most people who are victims of this type of trauma. It's called trauma-based mind control. They put up walls. They block these things out. So not a lot of children come forward. And then when you hear adults come forward who were victimized as children, everybody out there, pretty much denies them. They say, well, why did they come forward when they were kids? Oh, the allegations of, ritual sacrifice and adrenochrome. Oh, that stuff. No, they can't believe it because they don't want to believe it. Okay? It's very true. And this is Tori Spelling slipping about this, about how there was underground tunnels there and they went into the tunnels. But I don't remember much because I was only 11 years old, right? Interesting how they took down Bing Crosby's house, or they rebuilt around Bing Crosby's house, but they left those tunnels. They didn't fill them in, right? Because, of course, Aaron Spelling, I'm sure, was very close with Hugh Hefner, because Aaron Spelling, and just like all of Hollywood, is a CIA operation. So all of these celebrities have underground tunnels that connect to the Playboy mansion. I'm sure that's a huge coincidence. This isn't something that gets discussed, of course. We just hear about government rabbit holes like Epstein's Island. You don't even hear these people talk about the Zorro Ranch that Epstein had, which I will do some videos on, because I've talked about how the Epstein flight log and the island is part of their psyop to distract you from the eugenics experiments and transhumanist experiments that Jeffrey Epstein is involved in and has been involved in, and that the majority of research, if you do it on Jeffrey Epstein, connects him to all of these things revolving around these big tech corporations and Neuralace and Neuralinks that they're trying to move forward with. So instead of looking at the Zorro Ranch and the eugenics laboratory that was underground there and the breeding ground that was underground there because they're breeding children there, everybody looks at the island and looks at the flight log because they want to get Oprah and they want to get Tom Hanks. And none of those people look at all at places like the Playboy Mansion, because Hugh Hefner has been glorified in our society. Hugh Hefner has been, ooh, it's Hugh Hefner. Oh, he's so cool. Oh, all the Playboy bunnies. He got all the ladies. See, the Playboy Mansion, I mean, you know, if you think about how it's been presented to us, you actually believe that this guy just came up with this idea for a magazine. I mean, this is just a basic mind control operation taking place. This is, and was, I should say, a breeding ground for child trafficking directly in Hollywood. That's what its purpose was. The bunnies were a front because the bunnies were involved. I'm sure the bunnies were obviously sex slaves and sex kittens for many of these celebrities. There's no doubt that they were under mind control as well. But that was the front, because most people, if they hear that children were being trafficked at the Playboy Mansion, they'd say you're crazy, because all they've ever seen are images of these women wearing bikinis, walking around nude, who are adults at the mansion. Nobody knows about Brooke Shields being in Playboy at the age of 10. I mean, you don't think that that's a little bit, how that was even allowed, how he wasn't arrested for it? Now we're talking about some of the pictures in the 1978 Playboy magazines that promoted pedophilia, right? No, they don't say anything about Playboy Press's publications, Sugar and Spice, and those photos that were taken in 1975 because, well, people would start connecting the dots that maybe it was really a front, and they don't want you to know that it was a front because it would blow up the entire Hollywood operation that really is run by the Central Intelligence Agency. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.